Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by BB. A reminder, as always, guys, there is no second best daily YouTube live stream to talk about markets. I'm Snorlax. You guys also know me as Tommy. I'm joined by Max, as well as a special guest today. Welcome, Donnie. We're going to hear from him in just a few minutes, but I hope you've all had a great week thus far. Happy Wednesday for those who celebrate. But yeah, we are right around the midpoint of the week. Obviously, I know we're kind of looking for a bit more clarity here on markets throughout, not just this week, but also as we head into the end of October. And of course, the end of this election cycle here, it's really about 2 weeks away at this point. So I do think that clarity will be on the way. And of course, we're going to talk about that as well as everything that we are seeing with the charts. But before we can do that, guys, before we can start cooking and sharing all of that big, juicy alpha, I'm going to ask if you guys can smash that like button, especially because we have a special guest today. It only feels right that we absolutely destroy the like button today. I want to see us get to at least 300 likes today live on stream. And really, if Chef Jackus were here today, he would tell me to set that bar much higher. But I believe in you guys. I know we can get to 300, probably even above that. But let's hit that like button for Donnie, hit that like button for the BB team. And we can go ahead and start getting into the market on a bit more of a, ticker by ticker basis, right? Bitcoin and ETH have calling it like a pullback or like a nuke in the market doesn't even really do it justice. I think Tucker made a comment about it on this morning's call. Somebody's like, Bitcoin's nuking while you're speaking. Then you look at the chart and Bitcoin's still at, 66, 67K. So, I think as long as Bitcoin continues to trade above the October monthly open, you have a very clean looking uptrend on Bitcoin specifically as we, I can't even say as we head into Q4. We are in Q4 now, guys. This year has absolutely flown by. As I like to say, when we range for this long, the time really goes by pretty quickly. But yeah, we are still waiting for, I think, a bit more clarity, of course, on Bitcoin. The effect that will have on altcoins will likely push it higher or obviously lower based on correlations. But you look at something like Solana. Solana has shown immense strength over the past week or so, and there has obviously been quite a lot of on-chain shenanigans, quite a lot of on-chain opportunity that we're going to have Donnie touch on, I believe, in a few minutes. But of course, as well, we have equity markets that have kind of been flat over the last week. I'm not quite sure what to make of equities here. They've just kind of been moving flatly, but I do know we have positive flows returning after the election. We have very positive astrology in mid-November that we can maybe touch on later in the show as well. But I think all systems go at some point in November. But for now, October 23rd, guys, we are seeing, like I said, a little bit of choppiness, a little bit of pullbacks, more so on altcoins than something like Bitcoin. But that's more or less what I'm seeing currently in the market. Kind of low volatility as a whole. But I'm like I said, most of the opportunity that's been in this market over the last week to 2 weeks has been largely on chain, specifically on Solana. I saw that GOAT, which is obviously the, what the sentient AI coin, we'll call it, or really that whole meta, got a lot of futures listings over the last 24 hours. It's getting a lot of traction. And it's just very representative, I think, of the fact that you're seeing on-chain capital continue to flock to Solana for the purpose of shitcoining and for the purpose of opportunity. But I'd love to talk about that a little bit more in depth, as well as a little bit of what we're seeing in the charts, guys. Max and Donnie, what are you guys seeing, not just in the markets and the charts, but also, in the trenches on this beautiful, fine autumnal Wednesday? I almost got caught saying like August, but I'm like, no, it's October.
Is autumnal a word?
Yes,
there's no way
autumnal
is a real word.
It is a word.
Is that autumn?
It felt very much like fall when I stepped outside today. I just felt like I had to say it.
Bro, autumnal?
Yeah, the autumnal equinox, for example. That's how I know it's a word.
I've spoken English my whole life, and I've never heard autumnal before.
Yeah,
Ever.
never heard that one.
I've never
I
heard
promise
of it.
it's a word. I promise it's a word. Maybe the chat can help me out there, but
that is
oh,
wild.
Man.
All right. So Tommy, great introduction, guys. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna give some thoughts on the market. We also have, like Tommy said, we got a special guest today, Donnie. Donnie and I are Twitter friends, I guess you could call us.
Yep.
We are Twitter friends. So Donnie's got some great charts. I have a feeling you guys are going to really like what he has to say today. Characteristic of or occurring in autumn, rich autumnal colors.
I knew I wasn't crazy.
I stand corrected. Okay. Autumnal. It still sounds ridiculous, but it's a real word. Okay. Look, we looking at where Bitcoin is right now, guys. Let me clean this up a little bit. We got a lot of stuff on the chart. The only thing that I care about right now is maintaining market structure. I talk about this like every single day, where you set a low, very pronounced low, major liquidation event, deep but scary, higher low, and then again, early October, higher low. Even if we came down into here, it wouldn't be that bad, in my opinion. Yes, your altcoins would feel some pressure, but all you should really be worried about right now is just maintaining market structure and hopefully moving up, right? Because we are, even if you're one of the guys that's like, hey, look, we still need to get above this high right here. We still have supply right here. And all this doesn't count. This is the high that matters. You would be correct that it matters and it's really important, but you can't discount the significance of, even if this is an internal uptrend, right? Even if this is a local internal uptrend within a much larger downtrend that you could try to argue we're still in, you can't discount the significance of this, which is an uptrend, right? So you pop up aggressively from 58 all the way to almost 70, and you're pulling back a little bit. We haven't broken trend or anything like that. So the amount of people that are just like genuinely freaking out right now about this move right here, like this move, is wild to me. And I know that altcoins are kind of getting like whipsawed a little bit. I fully understand that. Okay. But this is what a market does. Markets go up and then they go down, and then they go up and they go down, and you need to identify the trend and play the trend until it's broken. So right now, in my view, we are uptrending. One like ultra high time frame, this is still an uptrend. And even looking at like the monthly, I'm going to take all this off now, and then we're going to kick it on over to Donnie. Like, I'm looking at this right here as an unbelievably significant monthly level. Unbelievably, just such a significant monthly level, right? If you can close this month green, I don't see any cause for concern whatsoever, right? But you guys hear from me every single day, and I want to get Donnie on the charts because Donnie does some really great high time frame analysis. He also gets into the lower time frames, and he also loves trading shit coins. So I think you guys are going to really like what he has to say.
Just like us.
Just Google gobble one of us. We're going to kick it on over to Donnie. Donnie, if you could maybe start with this. Give us a little like introduction on who you are. Say what's up. How you just real quick, like for the people that don't know you, how'd you get into trading? What do you specialize in? What are you hoping to accomplish in the future and today? And then let's get into the charts. But tell them who you are. Welcome, Donnie.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me on the stream, first of all. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Donny. You guys might know me from Twitter. Basically, I started trading. I first of all got introduced to trading by my older brother sometime in 2017, actually, when Bitcoin started hitting the all-time highs around 20K. And, that's when typically it gets the attention of retail, which we definitely were at the time. Yeah, so he basically got into the market around then and was basically showing me, you know, his investments and stuff like that. And then they ended up crashing, of course, right after the all-time highs. So pretty much got put off crypto until 2019 when things started to get a little bit better from the bear market lows. And started our first investments in 2020 in altcoins, not into BTC. And yeah, so really got to ride out the last cycle from pretty much start to finish, but had no awareness of like cyclicality or any technical analysis or anything like that. So it just went from like aping into this coin to that coin, the other. And because it's a bull market, you're still able to make money even if you're not, you know, that experienced and stuff. But it was really like cashing out the bags that I had most of the trouble with at the top of the cycle, like pretty much moon boying at the top and not being able to sell anything. So yeah, started off with like a low investment of around 3,000 ish and ended up getting extremely lucky with a couple of the meme coins. I don't know if you guys remember Safe Moon and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, didn't Dave Portnoy shill that one? Was that like one of his picks or something?
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay, I never played it, but I remember the name.
I think he shielded the top of it, but
Yeah, he helped get you out, Donnie. So
Yeah, and ended up making decent money off of that. And I think at the peak of the cycle, we had about 750K at the Pico top. And you know, when you're new, you get attached to like unit bias numbers. So we really wanted to hit that 7-figure mark, and then everything just started tanking from there. And especially SafeMoon, I think it ended up rugging completely. But every dip that was coming, you'd get kind of a little bit of a relief bounce. So you're still a little bit hopeful, and then it'll go deeper, and then another relief bounce, and then deeper. So didn't end up leaving with like pretty much any of the money that we had made in the bull run. And then that's where I really started digging in more and like trying to figure out, okay, how can I make this work for the next time? Because I know this is going to happen again. I started researching about how markets work cyclically. And yeah, I really started like grinding my business in real life, which was a cleaning business at the time. I was sharing it with a friend. We had started it together. And in the bear market, we basically were just like, all right, we need to step it up in this business, grow it as much as possible. And when that bear market low is in, or whenever we think it's in, we have to prepare to sell the business and pretty much go all into the crypto market and make up for all the losses that we had in the last cycle. So that's what we did, and that's how I got started in
and
early
I love that,
2022.
Donnie. I love that because it's such a relatable story because everybody pays their tuition to this market.
Yeah,
And when you're in your first cycle, you kind of think you're a genius. It's the it's this, what's it called? It's the I don't remember what it's called. It's basically it's like as an entrant in the market, you become, you know, really overconfident in your lack of ability because you have really good results right away.
yeah.
And you get your teeth kicked in inevitably. Everybody pays that tuition. And then those that don't run from that terrible feeling, and they stick with it, usually go on to really thrive in this market. And
yeah.
there's so many people that they lose some money at some point. Yeah, Dunning-Kruger effect. Thank you. That's what I was trying to. I
He's
was.
helping us with all of our anecdotes today.
Yes, thank you. The autumnal. But I love that. It's so relatable, right? We've all been there, and it's those that stick with it through the bear market and learn and grow. They go on their next cycle to really make something special of their time in crypto, and it certainly sounds like you're doing that. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, Donnie. If you have anything else to share, please continue, and then we'll get into the charts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll just pretty much speed run through that story. And then, yeah, got into the market in 2023. And during that time, the main thing that I wanted to do was just develop my TA skills. So I literally joined like 10 paid groups, filtered them out from like best to worst, just learned from every analyst that I could. And yeah, from there, I was able to understand the market a little bit better and choose my investments a bit more wisely. And then, um, you know, the bull market started kind of early for us, just up only pretty much from the bear market low. So was able to make a decent amount of profit throughout that period. And then here we are now after the 74K top and trading meme coins.
Love it, bro. All
Yeah.
right, well, let's start here. You got your Bitcoin chart up. You can start wherever you want, but I think
Yep.
it'd probably be good to kind of contextualize where you think we are within this cycle, and then we can kind of work our way down. So the
Yep.
charts are yours, man. Wherever you want to
Sweet.
go with it.
So I'd want to start with this date right here, which is the 11th of January. To me, this is the most important date of the cycle because that's when we finally got the ETF companies, the asset managers, to enter the market and pretty much start their accumulation phase for the foreseeable future with Bitcoin. So up until this point, we were pretty much near like the bear market lows around 25K. We had just popped off above, but this is the area where we were getting a little bit of a scare as to if we're going back into a bear market or not. And we had the rumor of the ETF pretty much coming into fruition. So this entire pump all the way into January 11th was a buy the rumor event and then a sell the news. And this is where the accumulation for the ETF issuers begins. So actually, I like to count the dates that we've been in this range, you could call it, all the way from here, because these are the areas where we had the massive inflows in the ETF, which that's where BlackRock would have been starting to accumulate. Because if you know how it works, basically their clients, they come into the market, they want to enter the crypto market through Bitcoin. They come to BlackRock with fiat. BlackRock takes that fiat, they purchase Bitcoin with it. And whenever the participant decides to sell their position, they give them back fiat. And BlackRock, obviously, they have to sell their Bitcoin, but they're still accumulating that BTC. Who knows what they're actually doing with it or not? That's a little bit of speculation on that, but that's how I view it. So, yeah, that range pretty much has now formed to become 286 days. So it's not just from the top here. Anyway, yeah, so we had market structure trending up all the way through here, and then we had a massive rejection at the 74K level. And the best way to understand why we had to reject at this level is we need to understand where we're at in the cycle and why we had to come into a reaccumulation range. So we just discussed that BlackRock needs to fill their positions before moving the market higher, but also we're not in the right phase of the cycle to continue to go into a flourishing bull run. And the best way to see where we're at in the cycle, as simple as possible, I like to use the Pi cycle top indicator. And if you see here, while we were coming up throughout the ETF hype and everything, we had a deviation of this blue line, which is the 350 MA. Now, this is important because when we go back and check in the previous cycles, we had a similar sort of setup back in 2017, 2018 bear market. So we'll just go back and check that. I'll pull up a different chart. So I like to show this to show where we're at in the cycle and how I see it playing out. So if we go back to 2017, we had our top and we go into a bear market. From this point in the low in the 2018 bottom, we actually had a significant pump, similar to how we had the bear market low to the 74K high in this cycle. But as you can see, we rejected the 350 MA. We had a deviation. We go back into another accumulation period. Why? Because pretty much cyclicality. A bull market isn't ever going to start unless we have the liquidity cycle taking effect. So the liquidity cycle was basically when money printing and monetary easing start to come into fruition to start pumping assets, pretty much. So this area is where the whales and market makers and everyone are accumulating their BTC right before the liquidity cycle starts. And in a bull run, we usually pop over the 350 MA. We ride it as support throughout the entire run. And when the 111-day moving average crosses the 350 MA, that's when the cycle top is in. So the Pi cycle top is predicted the last three bull runs that we had 2021, 2017, and the 2013 run. So every time these two MAs cross, you can see it's been as accurate as within 1 to 4 days of a cycle top prediction. Literally, as soon as they cross, you've got your top in. So it's something that, it's not the end all be all, but it's something that you shouldn't fade. So right here, you can see exactly where we were in the cycle before we went to another accumulation phase before the bull run. Very similarly to where we are right now. So going back to view the entire cycle, this 350 MA, as of current, it's over 100K. So we've just entered this reaccumulation phase where BlackRock and all the big boys are accumulating their positions. And the next phase of the run is what we had here. The liquidity cycle begins, which we've seen China starting to stimulate, and the United States entering that same period as well. The next phase of the run is to get above the 350 MA. But if this is already around 110K, you can see where price is going to go in this cycle, in my opinion. So we've got a lot of upsides still left. And after a almost 300-day reaccumulation above 50K, I think we're primed for a massive bull run. And the second part of the phase is basically just waiting for the 111-day moving average to cross with 350, and somewhere we'll create a distribution model, and that'll be the end of the cycle. So in my opinion, the cycle hasn't even started yet, and we've got a lot of upside, especially in Q4 and Q1, that we can look forward to. But going a bit more locally as to where we are right now and how the accumulation is playing out, we need to see why this isn't a distribution model and why we're not going to go back into sub 50K levels anymore from here. So the way we have to view it is that market structure was trending up here. We got hammered down. We deviated the 350 MA. Now we have market structure trending down. Anytime we come back to this high, we have supply taking control. So price is getting pushed down. We come back up, supply is in control. We had a double top here and we come right back down. Once we had this range low confirmed here, we can pull our range. And we can see that now we're forming some sort of accumulation structure. Anytime we deviate the low, it's just market makers filling up their orders to ready their positions for whatever they're planning next. And anytime you have an accumulation model, what's coming next is you're going to squeeze to the upside. If you have a distribution model, they're selling positions, filling up shorts, pushing price down. So this is the opposite of that. So this was verified by us. Every time we deviate, we're getting these wicks, we're getting massive volume spikes, market makers filling up their limit orders, especially in this scare here. And obviously, if you look even more locally, you've got some distributions in here, a Model 1 distribution in here, right into the Japanese economic crisis scare that we had. Massive order filling here. And it's interesting how this wick is mitigated from touching the entry price that we had. Sorry, not the entry price, the top of the ETF hype launch. Peaked at 49K. The wick's mitigated from touching that area. Plus, we've got heavy sell to buy area, which is a market maker demand, along with on a lower time frame in this area. Sorry, it's hard to see it on high time frame. We've got another heavy demand area stacked, which was pretty much induced the whole time we tried to retest this area. Market makers are pushing price up, not letting this area touch this market maker level. So it's stacked on top of the massive market maker demand zone. And what did we clean up when we came in that massive FUD event? Just tapped that area and went right back into the range.
It's amazing how it was like a perfect tag of that ETF hype candle, like within a quarter of a percent. It's just perfect. Yeah. What a coincidence, right?
Yeah. And anytime I see any sort of wick on any chart like this that's being mitigated from touching a very strong market maker demand area, I start to suspect that we're coming closer to the market makers being happy with their positions. So in here, we've got our range low, range high. We've got a Model 1 sending price right down and a massive FUD event. We get the wick. It's mitigated from touching a heavy market maker demand zone. We come back up. We tap extreme liquidity on this next. Whoops. on this next capitulation event down here, clean up this entire level from here. We've got market structure trending up just to make it a bit more clear. Oops. I'll grab this. So this is our market structure. So this is the extreme liquidity level down here. Goes all the way across. This actually was such a scary wick. If we had gone any further, it would have been really scary. We would have probably retested this level. But anyways, market makers push price back up. And that confirms our accumulation model, which is basically when you've got the range low, range high, the first deviation, and a retest of extreme liquidity. This is a model 2 accumulation model. And we come right back into the range. So after seeing all of this, after having all the FUD events that we had, and we come back into the range and start getting these massive impulses to the upside, creating even more demand levels, we're starting to see that potentially the market makers have completely filled their positions and they're happy. And now we're heading into the next phase of this range, which is pretty much starting to squeeze to the upside. Now, a big level that I was looking at on the liquidity heat maps was the 67K level that we ended up clearing up. When we came all the way up here and we broke market structure to the upside on this level, so we had market structure trending down when we got, just give me 1 sec. Whoops. We had a heavy supply zone here. As we were coming back up and we get hammered down back into this level, basically when we came back for the second low and we had a daily swing fail on this level. So on the daily, it looks like a wick, but on the 4 hour or any other lower time frame, just give me a sec. We get pushed back up in price and we create these new demand levels and we just keep mitigating demand, keep going higher, keep having these impulse moves up and finally break structure to the upside for key levels. Also, we managed to get through this heavy supply region that we got pushed down earlier and we came to the 67K liquidity zone that was on the heat maps that had about 10 billion in liquidations. This was one of the 3 levels that I was basically looking at that were the highest liquidity points, the highest liquidity cluster levels on the whole chart. We had it at 67K and we've got one at 70,000 and one massive one at 72K. So why would we come all the way up here after an accumulation model, after mitigating market maker demand and cleaning up 10 billion of liquidity if we're not ready to push price higher and we're 2 weeks out from the election? So that's basically where we're at the moment. And on the lower time frame, what are we seeing? We're losing this level that was our previous heavy supply zone when we came above. But to me, this isn't the key level. The key level for me was this 64,400 level. So when we had the daily swing fail and we came right back in here and we started impulsively moving up, these impulsive moves upwards pretty much started to define that, all right, the market makers are happy with their positions and they want to push price back up. So I don't want to lose this level on the daily chart. Daily closes below this. We can deviate and then push back up. But losing this level to me would be a little bit bearish. I don't think we're going to lose it. I think any moment in this area, we're just going to see a wick and some sort of V recovery. Right now, we're kind of chopping into the area, but anywhere in here to me was extreme market maker manipulation and demand and creates a heavy demand zone that's stacked with even more demand. In here, when we were coming back up, we had this crazy set of candles that I haven't seen in this entire range pretty much. They shot price up, they cleared up the 67K liquidity, they hammered it back down, they shoot price back up. So this is a heavy manipulated zone. So
we love our dark malls.
Yeah. I don't think they want to lose this level. And it's pretty much protected. This market structure right here. So yeah, that's basically the areas that I'm looking at. My points of interest is this level that's stacked with the heavy manipulation zone, which was also a prior supply zone, and this market structure level that we had to the upside, backed by heavy demand on this level. So just seeing if we get some sort of, maybe we get some sort of accumulation in here and get the structure break to the upside, or we just straight V recover. In these crucial moments where like the market is basically wanting to pick a direction, how do I word this? When they're going to scare the market by giving these wicks at key levels, I don't think you come and you start accumulating at this level and then shoot up. It's too much of an easy way to get into the market. If you come down to these levels and it's a really big scare, it's a 50-50 if we're going bearish or bullish, every time that I've seen it, you get some sort of manipulation and you just shoot right back up. So I'm expecting something like that at any one of these levels, but we'll see what we get. Obviously, these are just points of interest for me.
Yeah. I love it. Donnie, you're cooking, man. You are absolutely cooking. Guys, listen, I'm going to hit Donnie with a bunch of questions. Okay. And we're going to talk about not just Bitcoin, but altcoins, total 2, total 3, others, every shit coin that you guys want to get into. As you can see, we've got a real seasoned chartist on the show today. Now, I'm gonna hit you guys with an early threat. Okay. Do not make me pull up the soybean chart today. I will do it. I will have Donnie pull up the 5-second soybean chart if we can't run the likes up, guys. He's cooking for you. It's literally 4 a.m. his time. I hit him up yesterday and I was like, hey, bro, you should come on the show tomorrow. And it's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And he's like, ooh, man, that's 4 a.m. my time, but I'm going to be there. This man has pulled an all-nighter and he's chugging Red Bull on the stream just to stay awake to cook for you guys.
I one-clipped the Red Bull for you guys.
He's literally shotgunning Red Bulls.
You shotgunned it, yeah.
Shotgunning Red Bulls. Listen.
Liquidated.
His brain is going to be liquidated from lack of sleep. So guys, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Okay, if you're watching on YouTube, we have almost 500 people just on YouTube and probably another like 1,000 plus on Twitter. Wherever you're watching, hit that like button, hit the heart button, and if you're watching on Twitter, hit that retweet button. But I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. Donnie, no more charts. You have to pause here until they do what you deserve from your cook session.
I'm panic like
I'm saving the notes I had for the crazy alpha until they get that like.
No more. And Donnie told me he's gonna share this. He's got some alpha for you guys coming up. But I forbid any alpha to be shared until the likes are at a fair spot. Hit the like button. Furthermore, it's a special request because of how hot Donnie came in. The first link in the description of this YouTube stream is to Donnie's X account. He just sliced through 3,000 like a hot knife through butter. I need you to take a second if you're watching and you need to go to his X account and you need to follow his X account. Okay. You need beyond just liking. A like is not enough today. You need to like, and then you need to navigate over to his X account and you need to hit the follow button. Okay. Yeah. Study Charlie. Okay. Study Charlie. If you are not like Charlie, you're not going to make it. All right. Let's see how we're doing here. Let's see how the likes are. I swear I'll pull the soybean chart up, guys. Do not tempt me. Do not tempt me. I will pull up the soybean chart and we will chart for the rest of the stream. We're going to chart soybeans paired against natural rubber futures. I'll do it. I promise. I'm not bluffing.
Max, I don't know if you saw last week, but we were charting soybeans against the Dollar General chart just because we can.
I'm not that mean. That is evil, Tommy. That is, I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. I mean, that's awful, guys. But yeah, guys, for real, show some love, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, retweet it on Twitter, and go follow Donnie. We're almost at 300 likes live on YouTube, which is good. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. We'll run it up again. We'll do this again. Yeah, Donnie, that was That was fantastic, bro. So let's do this. The likes are looking pretty good. You gained some Twitter followers. Let's keep it moving. What else do you have for us?
All
You
right.
had
So
some notes.
I may have gone a little bit too quickly. I want to go back to this chart and just explain a little bit of like fundamental analysis of what I think is going on with the cycle, right? So for the people watching, they need to understand that liquidity cycles, they don't just happen for no reason. It's not just like, oh, we've hit Q4, time to print money. You need a reason to print money. You need something to happen to be able to start injecting liquidity into the market. You need something to go wrong. So obviously last cycle we had COVID. Now I'm going to try and explain to you guys what I think BlackRock did to set up pretty much like a 2-move checkmate for what they wanted to do with the ETF. So this is obviously a little bit of speculation and stuff, but it's just, it doesn't have to be exactly how I say, but something along those lines. So you had the COVID pandemic, and that pretty much gave us the reason to go into extreme money printing and start this giant parabola. They started, I think that was like some of the highest percentage of liquidity ever printed in the span of 2 years or something like that. It was ridiculous.
The US effectively doubled its M2 money supply in about an 18-month period of time.
Something ridiculous. And then it was paired by
and we
instant
dropped
rate.
interest rates from basically like, I think it was like 5% Fed funds rate down to basically zero.
Yeah,
Wow, we
basically
doubled the
zero.
money supply.
And then right into the fastest rate hike that we've seen in a while. So we had the liquidity injections, and in my opinion, we had a muted cycle at this top. Why do I think it's muted? Well, talking about the 2-move checkmate, I don't think the market makers, we can call them BlackRock, we can call them whatever, I don't think they wanted to let this price shoot up to the 100K plus area and then have to set up their ETF at a much higher level, pretty much. So if we went to 100K and we corrected 77%, which is what we corrected down here pretty much, it was like 77%. If we went to 100K or 115K and we came down 77%, price would have been a little bit higher up. And then if you bounce from 25K bear market lows, when you're coming back up, it's going to be much higher than 74K when they're trying to, do their whole ETF accumulation for the future. So we had this muted cycle. We get pushed down. I think in this period, China had banned crypto, and this entire pump should have never even happened. It was literally FTX pumping altcoins and Bitcoin with stolen funds, something along those lines. I can't really recall it correctly, but
3AC and FTX and
yeah,
Solunavax debacle. Yeah.
It was fun before it was a debacle.
Dude, they made the bull market so fun. The secret ingredient was crime last cycle.
Crime, yeah, as Tucker says.
Yeah.
The reason why this COVID is so important is because you got this parabola, right? But we also got insane inflation. So the economy is cooked. When we go into a bear market, and this bear market was brutal, we went straight into ruthless rate hikes. The economy's cooked. Businesses can't function, stuff like that. So now the economy's still cooked. We've still got high interest rates. They plan the ETF in this area where everything is pretty much in a bad spot to be able to accumulate cheap Bitcoin for the future. But why this is important is because now we're heading into what would I call this? A post-pandemic economic rebuild liquidity cycle. So we're still experiencing damage from this. And how are we going to get out of it? We need to rebuild the economy. So how do we do that? We need to print money. We need to stimulate business. We need to get everything up and running again. The only way is to inject liquidity and lower interest rates, which is what we saw with the Fed pivot recently, and these countries starting to stimulate their economies. So it's pretty much a 2-move checkmate. They create this parabola, they put us into a horrible economic state, and now we need to fix it. We need to fix it after they load up their bags. And if you heard Larry Fink talking in some of his recent interviews, saying that you should be worried about currency debasement, which is pretty much what all of this caused, into a much higher level, like never seen before. he's saying that you might need to look to Bitcoin as a flight to quality. So they're preparing their bags. They know the liquidity cycle is coming. They've literally pushed this range as far as they could before the liquidity cycle kicks in. And I think the numbers were they've almost hit around 1 million BTC
BlackRock holds
cumulatively.
now 1.86% of the Bitcoin supply as of
It's
this week.
disgusting. And like all of these ETF issuers, they're all in cahoots with each other. They own percentages of each other's company and stuff like that. But here's the alpha that I wanted to share for the Bitcoin top. So are you guys familiar with the asset managing fund Vanguard?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're the second biggest asset managing fund. Now, they're the only one that didn't sign to get or they didn't try and put through a Bitcoin ETF. So what I'm thinking is, and BlackRock and Vanguard own big percentages of each other. What I'm basically thinking is that they've done this deliberately, and people have forgotten. They put out an article about 4 or 5 months ago saying how they're disappointed with their CEO because he wasn't up for the innovation of being a part of the greatest ETF launch of all time. So this was just a really quick article they put out about 4 or 5 months ago, but I was keeping track of this stuff because to me, they're setting up, if we're setting up for institutional onboarding with BlackRock and the what am I trying to say? The regulatory clarity with basically institutions being able to buy BTC like MicroStrategy, because you can't just go to a bank and borrow money and buy Bitcoin like how MicroStrategy has figured it out. There has to be like proper frameworks for institutions to be able to do this, and they're going to make it easier through somebody like Trump, who's set to win the election. He's more pro crypto, things like that. So BlackRock has set this up, BlackRock being the main one. If we're getting institutional onboarding, how much exit liquidity do you think we need? Who's going to provide the exit liquidity? It's going to be Vanguard. When they decide to enter the market, the ETF market at the top of the cycle, they're going to be bringing the exit liquidity for BlackRock and the other ETF issuers. And I think it's Vanguard and State Street that haven't applied for the ETF. So
that's a theory, Donnie. That is an interesting theory that I haven't heard before.
it's a big theory, and it's something that you need to keep in mind when we're nearing the cycle top, when Vanguard, because it's going to be frothy at the top, and it's going to be like another big ETF issuer is coming to bring even more liquidity. That's the exit liquidity right there. You've got limited weeks before you need to get out of the market.
Donnie, do you think that countries are going to be exit liquidity during this cycle?
The thing is, the way that BlackRock accumulates BTC is through their clients giving them fiat. They buy BTC, and when they want to sell, they're giving them back the fiat. So I thought that as well. I was like, if Vanguard comes in near the top and they're bringing in their clients and they're buying the top and then getting dumped on, it's a really bad look for Vanguard. But to me, it's just very suspicious that it's played out this way. And with those articles saying that, they're leaving those articles in the dust of like, oh, we're not happy with our CEO. He wasn't for the innovation. They're blaming him. Dude, these guys are big institutions. They're not, dumb. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. It's something that I've got my eye on. It's not the end all be all, but it's definitely like if I see that Vanguard is applying for an ETF and we're above 250K, bro, that's the biggest top signal for me.
So is 250K your base case for Bitcoin this cycle? Because I know a lot of people have, and for good reason, acknowledged the obvious trend of sort of lengthening cycles with diminishing returns, meaning the 2017 cycle didn't have the same percentage gains as the 2013, 2014 cycle. The 2020 and 2021 cycle didn't have the same returns as the 2017 parabola.
Yeah.
If we continue that trend forward, then this cycle would potentially give us less than a 2.5x on Bitcoin, because the 2017 high was 20K, give or take. Last cycle, we topped out at 70K, just under.
Yeah.
So are you of the opinion that this time we won't see diminishing cycle returns, at least compared to
Yes.
last cycle?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see a cycle where we see above 200K. Obviously, I'm prepared for any outcome. Like, that's just my theory. If I see distribution earlier on stocks and then in BTC and I start seeing the top signals that I'm looking for, I'm going to be looking to cut my positions. But this is the ETF cycle. This is like the cycle that you would pretty much dream of for this asset class. So do I see it being another muted cycle? No, I think it's going to be, and we have the recipe to go into a massive euphoric bull run, because anytime that the majority of people are expecting less of an outcome, it ends up being more, vice versa. So right now I'm seeing lot of people lowering their targets for the bull run after a 300-day accumulation. They're saying 85K top, 90K top. We're heading into a like regulatory uh sorry well, if Trump wins, we're going to have much more positivity towards crypto with regulation and everything like that. It's pretty evident. And you showed a chart recently of the poly markets. As soon as they started favoring Trump, people are front running him actually winning the election, and potentially that's why we're starting to trend up. So I think we've got the recipe to go into a very big cycle top above 200K. Because of those reasons, basically. I don't think people are expecting it. A lot of people got crushed throughout the bear market, and in the 7-month range, it's the perfect recipe to go higher, in my opinion. Like, I think statistically, I was looking at one of these data websites, maybe CoinGlass or one of these ones. When we hit 74K, by percentage, that was the most market participants at a loss while Bitcoin is at an all-time high. So they took price from 15K to 74K with the highest percentage of market participants at a loss. So they did a great job of destroying people this whole time.
And I'll tell you, speaking of destroying people, the fact that Bitcoin, from where you marked this range being the high of the ETF euphoria candle, we're at 286, 290 days, something like that.
Yeah.
It feels like years that we've been stuck in this sort of purgatory, just like this range of death, and there's a time-based capitulation that can sometimes be a lot more painful than a quick price-based capitulation, where people are emotionally capitulating and unraveling because of how long we've been here rather than price actually capitulating. Because price, I mean, yeah, some altcoins for sure have taken a beating, but compared to what we've seen in previous cycles, it's not like Bitcoin broke down from 74 to 30. We're in a very healthy, structured, high time frame uptrend, as you've shown here, but it feels so terrible. Even with Bitcoin only, 10 or 15% off the all-time high, there's a time-based capitulation that we've seen really torment people.
Yeah, we also know that most market participants are in altcoins and these lower market cap assets, so they're the ones getting feeling it the most. But that statistic was Bitcoin alone, the highest percentage of market participants at a loss at all-time highs.
You just mentioned something that I find particularly interesting about the cycle. I was kind of talking about it in our Discord yesterday. In the past, people have felt like they could make life-changing gains by holding majors. And now that I think that Bitcoin and ETH are trading at such high unit costs, right? ETH at 2,500, 2,600, Bitcoin 66, 67K. Obviously, it's varied over the last few months, but that's more or less kind of the area where they've been trading. And it's, usually you see this wealth effect when majors break out because the majority of participants are holding Bitcoin, ETH, and in the case of the cycle, Solana. But this time, I feel like people have positioned in that beta ahead of time, right? Before these majors break out. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Should Bitcoin break out, do people start chasing back into Bitcoin? Do they start chasing back into Solana? Maybe both. Maybe Bitcoin's the institutional choice to chase. Maybe Solana's kind of the crypto native place to chase. At least that's kind of how I feel like it's already played out this cycle. But I mean, I do feel like people are kind of front running that wealth effect coming into beta. And I am very curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's out of the ordinary. Like usually it would be the majors and then the typical liquidity coming down from Bitcoin, ETH, alts, then memes, and then that's the top. But now it's like high risk first and then rotate back into the safer assets when like the high risk starts to exhaust. Really interesting.
So Donnie, let's talk about some altcoins because I know you love to trade worthless vaporware just like we
Uh,
do.
that's my specialty, bro.
Let's get into it, man. What are you looking at? Like, what do you see with ETH? Maybe we could start with like ETH and Sol, or some of the majors, and then kind of work our way down to some of your favorite, actual altcoins.
Yeah. Um, to be completely honest, the last like 2 months, I haven't even really been looking at Sol or any of these other altcoins too much. I've mainly just been using BTC as the compass for are we risk on for meme coins or are we risk off? So if BTC is looking healthy, if it's showing signs of strength, I'm bidding meme coins safely. So I'm not really checking because like BTC is going to affect ETH, it's going to affect Sol. They're not going to like perform indifferently. So
You and I beat to the same drum because a lot of people fail to recognize that all we're doing is trading Bitcoin through different vehicles. Is
yeah,
all we're doing.
literally.
Yeah. And it's
So
even more interconnected than that, right? Like taking another step back, you know, Bitcoin trades as sort of a liquidity valve for what equities are doing in this global liquidity cycle that you've explained
yeah,
in the beginning. So it's like you might have poop coin dump because Japan liquidates itself, or because there's some Fed policy shift, or what's happening in treasuries, right? So it's like this giant web where we're all trading like mega cap tech, and we're choosing to make our bet through Bitcoin rather than holding the Mag 7. And we say, okay, well, Bitcoin's not, volatile enough for me. I'd rather hold ETH and Sol. Oh, Sol and ETH are not, volatile enough for me. I'd rather hold Pepe. Oh, Pepe's not, volatile enough for me. I'd rather hold Andy, and it just goes further and further and further down the risk curve. And there's this insatiable appetite for market participants for beta this cycle. And it's really
yeah,
all just trading Bitcoin through different vehicles, right? Your
yeah,
Forex pair of choice. It's really
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I agree with that. Yeah, that's pretty much how I've been viewing the market. Um, if I wanted to show like some of the coins that I've traded recently and stuff like that, I'll have to prepare some charts real quick. So maybe you guys can take over just for like some time.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
No
I'll
problem.
prepare a couple setups.
Well, which altcoins are you looking at? Like which ones are you
So
looking at? My
so I've
only
laid out.
rule is that nothing that's like a complete shitter, just because it's a big audience and I don't want
Yeah, yeah.
to impact the charts too much
Okay.
while we're live. But like which ones? Because it could be fun to kind of do them live too, and actually see how you break it down live.
Yeah. Okay. It depends like how far down the shit curve we go, because
Let's just
I'll
keep it
trade.
above let's just keep it above 50 mil if we could.
Okay, above 50 mil. Okay. Hmm, damn.
Because the way,
I,
look, man, our audience, like if you pull up a 2 mil market cap altcoin, they're gonna start aping. We got to be a little bit careful. So
yeah, yeah. No, I can pull up past trades. So like these trades are not valid anymore. You know what I mean? Just to explain the thought process and stuff like that. Maybe that'll um but I'll need some time to prepare the chart just for a bit. Like one of the trades I pulled off with Bobo rotating it into Andy, that was probably one of my best plays of the cycle.
Mhm.
I pretty much bought the near the Bobo low, and this is the Bobo Andy chart, which I was eyeing up just because these levels started to pretty much show themselves one more time. So yeah, this is Bobo against Andy. And I ended up buying Bobo somewhere around when this started to get these bullish candles to the upside. I bought in heavy. And as soon as we hit resistance, I was watching the same levels on Bobo, like to see where it would come into supply and potentially fully reject. And then just pull up and oh, actually, I'll pull it up underneath. See if it comes up. Yeah. I'll just keep it like this.
So at that red box, you rotated Bobo back into Andy as it hits supply.
So just look at the dates that line up here perfectly.
Yeah.
So Wolf had actually the Wolf that you guys are also in, Wolf OX67.
Yeah.
It had actually front run Andy. So I was watching that, just what Thomas talked about a little bit earlier, how beta was actually front running the higher caps. It was starting from low to high. So I may actually pull up Wolf as well. Yeah, Wolf already started to break out a little. Sorry, where is this? Wolf started to break out literally just like one day before Andy started to get one more bullish candle, but that same day is when I was exiting Bobo from the trade from the pair with Andy, and basically I just saw a retest of demand here. I knew it was going to break out because we had, I won't show the entire chart, but we're basically retesting this demand level and we held the floor the entire time. Down here, man, this chart is really small. Just turn these to green. We had a little bit of an accumulation down here on Andy. I already had some spot Andy in this position, but I also had a big bag of Bobo that I ended up buying when I saw this pair starting to go in Bobo's favor, even though Andy was starting to move up a little bit higher here. Bought into Bobo, rode that pump for about a 3x, and when it hit this supply area on the pair chart, I fully rotated in here because I saw the perfect demand zone being retested and starting to push up on the lower time frame. And yeah, just went all into Andy and then caught another 3x pump to here. But I actually didn't end up selling the position. I just ended up buying a huge bag of Andy here and I'm still holding it. So
generational entry, right, Donnie?
Yeah, it was a generational entry right there. So yeah, this was like one of the setups that I had. It's hard to show how I trade these coins just off of the chart because like a lot of it is a little bit of fundamental analysis. Like I had another coin that did really well. This coin's above.
Yeah, Hoppy's been ripping, man.
Yeah,
Hoppy's been ripping.
I've been in this coin since 1 mil market cap, but I've also been like trading it throughout the entire run. This coin, it's basically like it's another version of Pepe, and the reason why it like stood out to me was basically because I saw frog meta becoming a frog meta and like a book meta in terms of like Matt Fury books, because we have the Boys Club and Pepe was the green frog in that book. And then we had another book by Matt Fury, which was released like 6 years later, which had a frog that looked like this Hoppy coin, but that's not, the frog wasn't actually named in the book itself. This is just something that they named it. But then I also found that there was like a third book as well. So I was like, okay, there's 3 books, there's 3 frogs. This is the second one. If anyone catches on to this narrative of there being like 3 frogs similar to Pepe that actually exist in these Matt Fury books, it might potentially catch on. So I got in somewhere around these levels and rode this entire wave up. But when this started to really solidify itself, it gave me the opportunity to look for beta within this narrative itself. When this started to really solidify itself, hitting like these levels, there was coins, how you've got the Boys Club, you've got Pepe, Brett, Andy, and Wolf. There's sub coins, sub characters in the same book that Hoppy was created that also got released as tickers. So it was just a rerun of the Boys Club for me. So I managed to catch on to it pretty early and I just bid all of those coins, and Hoppy acted as the BTC for those smaller cap coins. So every time Hoppy would move up, those would move up at a higher percentage pretty much. If Hoppy did a 2x, they'd do like a 10x kind of thing.
I had a
No,
I
please
had
go
a
ahead.
frog coin community get upset at some comments I made about their coin yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw it, but it was a poo. I don't know if you guys trade that coin at all, but
That's one of
I
Murad's
didn't
picks,
have
right?
particularly kind comments about it.
That's one of Murad? I don't know how you say it. Murad's
Yeah.
picks. Yeah.
There's like 100 frogs now, so
It's like when people say, "Well, actually, your frog is called this and not Pepe." It's like, dude, it's Pepe. It's Pepe.
yeah.
Pepe's the king frog. One thing that Murad said that I don't agree with is he thinks that Apu is gonna flip Pepe. And hey, man, I respect it. Like you gotta be the biggest cheerleader of your own bags, right? No, without question. But I think some of those comments are just that might even be a little bit like more hurtful that I think helpful just because I just seems like you gotta pay respect to the king, man. You gotta pay
Yeah.
respect to the king.
Well, you automatically turn Pepe holders off of your coin if you're like, yeah, well, mine's gonna flip yours. It's objectively better. And then people are like, oh, I've never even like, what the heck is a poo? If I were to just go, and I thought about that, like, you know, those people who go on the street and they maybe they're wearing glasses or whatever, but they have the microphone and they ask people questions. I'm like, what would you call this frog meme? If you would ask 100 people on the street, maybe one person's going to say a poo instead of Pepe. But
Yeah.
that's
Dude,
just
I didn't know what I've followed Apu for a while. I don't have a position in it, but it's been one of the strong like on-chain trades, no question.
yes.
Um, I didn't like Apustaha or whatever is
I don't even know
the
how to say it.
I don't know
Yeah.
what that is. I just am like, even if it's the Apu frog, I'm like, it's Pepe. Like I agree with what you're saying. I agree. It doesn't mean it won't pump. I'm just like, you can't compete with like the virality and the recognition of Pepe as an internet meme. You can't. As much as I love Andy, I'm like, Andy's not Pepe. It's not gonna be Pepe. Like it's beta to Pepe. Like how
Yeah.
many people out same thing with Andy. I love Andy, but you go on the street and you're like, hey, like, what do you think about Andy? In the boys club. People are gonna be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like what is Andy? People that are in the trenches and like they're researching like meme culture and like the whole narrative that's being spun up right now with either the frog meta or boys club, like they're gonna buy it. It's gonna do really well, right? But you don't have that same virality as Pepe. You can't compete with it. Nothing can. Nothing.
I'm fundamentally opposed to any meme coin thesis that you have to explain in like longer than 5 to 10 seconds.
I
You
think
should
that's
know by the
perfect.
name or the picture if your meme coin is going places.
Yep. I agree. I fully agree. All right, Donnie, what do you think about Andy? What do you think about Andy as a standalone chart here, man? What do you
Bro,
think about it?
I'll
I
give
talk about it
you
every day, but what do you think?
like how it's looking right now?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think happens next?
Bro, I
You can
just
be
know
objective. I know it's me on here, Mr. Andy talking about Andy, but like go for it. What do you think happens here with Andy?
just probably retest the range that it broke out of. Literally that simple. I don't think it's going to go any lower unless BTC, because even if BTC goes to this level here, I think maybe Andy could just deviate this range and then come back out. Like you have strong floor just above the range that was tested all throughout here. Like all of this held solidly. It was being mitigated all on the way up. We're having a little bit of a pullback because of BTC, showing a little bit signs of bearishness, trending down now. But like overall, this chart is primed to go higher in my opinion. And like as a worst case, you have a little oh shit. Can I even change it? Let me pull up Andy by itself. Got it somewhere here. You have some more demand right here. So I think this level will hold no matter what. unless obviously we get something crazy happening with BTC. But
So assuming Bitcoin holds the mid 60s, you view this as I call it, mega demand, which no one else besides me is allowed to say. That's
this whole
trademarked.
area,
So yeah, mega
yeah,
demand.
but I don't like, you could label this whole area demand, but I think this level will hold, this level for sure. And yeah, like we just had a range break. We had a bit of a failed breakout here, but that's just because like the rest of the market pretty much wasn't ready to rip higher. So I don't know, nothing too crazy going on here. I'd be bidding here and here. So
It's like if you were to look at ETH below this chart, like if you pulled up ETH, you don't necessarily have to unless you want to, but it's like you can see very clearly like ETH pulls back a little bit,
yeah,
Andy pulls back a little bit. ETH bottoms, Andy bottoms. Like it's the same chart. Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, well, why did Andy get stuffed there? Well, if ETH had broken out, then Andy would have broken out. Right. So it's just as simple as like you're just trading like premier ETH beta, and you have to be able to stomach the, you know, the interim volatility. But that if that 2800, 2900 level gets cleared on ETH, all
this
your
is
ETH
going
beta is going to
straight to
send.
all-time high.
Yeah, it's really not a matter of like, oh, is Andy going to rip? It will be ETH breaking out as the rising tide that, in my view, will lift all ships. You know, if ETH clears that level that you've identified there, 28, 2900, I mean, you can kind of throw a dart at any ETH on chain, and it's going to catch that tailwind. You know.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I was gonna say for like most of the meme coins that I've been trading at the moment, it's probably not suitable to show on the stream. But yeah, the thesis for those coins is like really catch a quick pump and then get out kind of thing. Because there's, you know, when BTC isn't really performing that great, you're kind of just getting in these super degenerate plays for like a quick flip and like getting out. But I do have my long-term positions like Andy and coins like that that I'm constantly stacking on dips. And those are going to be like the bulk of my play moving forward, because the next season that we're going into the cycle is pretty much hold for as long as you can until you see signs of exhaustion or distribution or some sort of pullback that you could maybe capitalize on.
And the crazy part about a lot of these ETH memes is a lot of them were born and have only existed in a regime where ETH has bled against Bitcoin on the ETH BTC pair.
Yeah.
Andy or Pepe or Hoppy, the ones we've talked about, have never existed where ETH has been consistently outperforming Bitcoin for, I don't know, at least a quarter, right? At a minimum.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, they haven't.
Donnie, what are your thoughts on some of these this new AI meta on Solana? I know
The
it's
AI
very
meme
much
coins.
a hot topic that people want to be trading. I personally haven't been indulging in the meta myself because I've just kind of been avoiding the soul trenches, but I do know quite a few people have made a lot of money trading them.
Yeah.
What's kind of your take on that?
The way I view all these meme coin narratives is kind of like you have different ways of looking at the future of these coins. Like you have animal coins, for example, the one that popped off on Sol, Mooding. And when you compare the statistics of Mooding to something like Ponke, which is another Solana meme, you can see that Mooding is the type of coin that's going to attract a lot more retail than Ponke, because Ponke is something that's specifically it's specific to crypto. Only crypto degens are going to know that it's a degenerate monkey on Solana, and they've got really good engagement on Twitter and things like Instagram. They're using Instagram to like onboard retail to try and tell them what it is. But coins like Mooding, they've already got the mind share of retail. It's already viral everywhere. The engagement they get on social media is like 10 times the level of Ponke, because it's literally just retail that's obsessed with this animal. So the fact that traders understand this, they're front running retail getting into the market on these types of coins. That's why you see these massive parabolas on coins like Moodang, because they're like, oh my God, retail's going to love this. It's already got 10 million views on these YouTube videos. And they're like running live streams on this animal and stuff like 24/7. It's become like this big thing in Thailand. So traders are front running retail getting into the market, but coins like Ponke, it's just like trader versus trader. So they're very limited on like the upside, because you're going to have to sell it to retail. You have to create this narrative that they might like. Whereas like some animals like that, they've already got the mind share of the target audience that, it's trying to capture pretty much. So with a coin like GOAT, which was the AI coin that released on Solana, probably the one that you're talking about, it's interesting. I didn't know what to make of it at first. I actually had it around like 1 million market cap and faded it. And then it obviously popped up to like 500 mil market cap. Just because, like, yeah, I don't know. It just, I wasn't really familiar with how to view an AI like meme coin like that. It didn't really cross my mind how it could capture the mind share of, new investors. I don't know. I didn't have too many thoughts on that coin in particular. But yeah, I just try and understand like how the market can easily sell a narrative to retail. So with the boys club, it's very easy because you have Pepe, which is this massive internet meme that's been around forever, and it's very iconic. It's almost to the level of something like Mickey Mouse. Everybody from the new generation knows that face of Pepe. So it's easy to sell the narrative of like, oh, he's from this book. He's got these 3 other similar looking characters. That's a very easy way to get retail to buy this into this narrative. Whereas like something like that AI coin, I feel like it's just gonna be a one wave sort of hype and then potentially not have the greatest run moving forward. It might continue to go up because the market cap has attracted so many, has brought so much attention to it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you sell that to like new people coming in that aren't in the trenches.
That's kind of my thought is like, I don't know if the absurdity is going to attract more people, but I know the AI, I do like the idea that it's kind of like the Chat GPT moment for meme coins and their relationship with AI, where obviously the technology wasn't super advanced based on where it's probably headed, but it is, we haven't seen anything like it from crypto before. I'm assuming that these are actually like these accounts and these wallets are run by artificial intelligence and not some actual user, it turns out, that is
It's
just,
definitely
maybe hopped up on Sims in their room, but
it's definitely a
Fiverr
basic
hire.
dweller.
What do you think about that typo that I think it was like the truth terminal or whatever? It was there's like a typo and everyone was freaking out. They're like, see, it's just some guy tweeting from his room. It's not really like AI.
I didn't see that.
I don't know. I saw something about it. Anyways. All right, Donnie, what else? We probably have like 15 minutes left.
Man, I've been going for an hour straight. You guys need to help me out a little bit.
No help. No help. All you, Donnie.
if you guys want to see one degenerate play that I managed to pull off, it was a pretty good one, but it didn't end up having a crazy follow through like I expected, but I can explain like the thought process behind it and show how clean it was and stuff. If you guys
All
want
right,
to see,
let's do it. Let's do it.
How do I flip my screen to like deck screener?
So you'd have to unshare this one. So
Yeah.
Unshare it, and then you can reshare, and then just select your deck screener.
it's a nice little subtle way for you to show off your watch list too without having to mention it.
Nah, I won't do that. I'll just share my whole screen. Can you guys see it?
Yes, right here.
Okay, so
FWOG. Oh wait, this is on ETH. Wait.
Yeah,
we've been trading the FWOG on Sol. I didn't know there was an ETH one.
See, one step ahead. But nah, this is just something that if I go through the backstory of it, you won't want to trade it anyway. I don't recommend anyone buy into this because the trade's finished anyway. This is an old setup. But basically, You guys know Fwog on Sol. It's been doing really well. And same with Mooding on Sol. But the Chinese cabal, they wanted to release two of the same coins, but on the ETH chain. So you see sometimes coins that do really well on Solana, they get a duplicate made on the ETH chain or whatever, vice versa, and then they see if they can outpump the other one. We saw this with Nero when it first launched. There was like 2 on Solana, 2 on ETH, and they're battling to be which one's the main one. So these came out after the Solana ones came out, but what I identified on this chart was basically on Mooding on ETH. So this was a duplicate of the Sol version. I never got in on this trade, but they had a clean setup. So they launched, they got their first wave up, and then they had this basically drifting down pattern into an accumulation structure and then shot up like crazy. This thing went from like 2 mil to like 100 and something mil. Yeah, 113 mil. So I was like, okay. And I found out, did some research, dug into it. It was like Chinese cabal that were pretty much pumping this shit. And so when I saw this chart and I came across Fwog on ETH, this is basically how it looked like before all of this stuff happened. I'll just clean this up.
They did Moodang on Sui too. So
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
They have no shame, bro. They'll just do anything. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'll remove this real quick. So this was kind of a similar setup, and it's kind of just like a fractal that I was trying to play out between these two. You can kind of see when I flip back and forth, you had the first wave up, and then you've got this downtrending, everybody's capitulating who bought high. And it's the same sort of narrative, right? So you had Fwog on Sol who did really well. They're trying to do Fwog on ETH. It's got the same pattern as Mooding on ETH, which copied Mooding on Sol. First wave up, trending down, and forming some sort of accumulation on a mega demand area, and then shoots up. So I was basically trying to run the same fractal on this. Same setup. There was an accumulation down here. We had range low, range high, the first deviation, and a back test of extreme liquidity. It kind of wasn't really playing out. And then this area is where I decided to enter because there was a big demand level here on the lower time frame. Once I saw this second candle break market structure to the upside here, that's where I entered the trade, and it ended up starting what Mooding did over here, but it didn't have enough follow through. Also, the reason how I identified this was potentially a good play is every time it hit the range low, or specifically in this area, you can see the volume coming in and wanting to pump this higher. I was also tracking all the wallets down here throughout like this entire period. It was like a couple of days that it was trending down. And when you click on the wallet, when you click on like this button here, it'll tell you where people bought and like where they're selling. And like you could literally see people buying the top and then just capitulating low here. I also went into their like Telegram group. They're all just like FUDing like crazy and stuff. And it just seemed like a setup to make people capitulate. And then whales step in here, they shoot up price, and everyone FOMO buys it. It's exactly what happened to Mooding here. Like you had this massive volume candle after an accumulation, and people capitulating into the mega demand area. Whales are eyeing up to like load up their positions and then shoot price higher to create that FOMO. Because like if you psychologically know, if you've ever experienced it, if you buy something high and you sell it low and you start seeing green candles right after you sell, you just want to ape back in so badly. It's so hard to resist, especially on a meme coin. So yeah, I was just running the same setup on this. We popped up over this range high that we had, this internal range, and we started pretty much losing momentum at this level. I was like, all right, as soon as we break market structure back down to bearish, I started selling the position. So it wasn't a super successful trade, but it was still like just over a 2x on a decent bag. So I'm kind of just, that's my thought process with like finding plays like this, which are more on the technical side, but also understanding fundamentally what these tickers and coins are trying to do when they launch. and to see if anyone's done anything similarly chart wise.
Very nice. Well, I love your style of TA because you identify these regions of like ultra high time frame, high probability, which is really what it comes down to, demand levels, where if you're wrong on a setup like this, your invalidation is just right below your green box there. Like you don't really have to risk too much to make a lot.
Exactly. The upside potential is massive. Like you're effectively buying on a 80% drop or something like that. So even more, 83% drop. So, you know, the RR on something like this is pretty crazy. And I could see every time because, like I said, I'm on my computer most of the day when I'm trading. So I'm watching transactions coming in. Anytime this is deviating the low, I can see big clips of like 5 figures protecting the floor. So I know it's decently safe to enter.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it.
So yeah, that's a little bit.
All right. Well, you absolutely cooked today. I think that's it. We're at our time limit. Tommy, do us the honors, man, and take us out. And don't forget to mention where they can find Donnie along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, shout out to Donnie once again, guys. If you guys, you should absolutely, I'm not even going to ask you if you want to, you should absolutely be following his Twitter. It is linked in the description of the video below. So make sure to check that out. After all, he did cook up an absolutely delicious meal for you all. Friendly reminders before we officially wrap up the show, guys. We have launched BB Terminal. It is about a few weeks old, and it is your one-stop destination for all things crypto trading. We are going to continue to build it into the best possible product on the market. For me, I love derivatives personally, so that's, you know, I'm all over the BB Terminal when it comes to derivatives, data, and everything in between to assist my trading. It's like I said, an incredibly useful tool, and we have worked very hard, like I said, to bring it not just to the market, but to make it the best possible product that you can buy. And we're going to continue to make developments towards it. If you've used it already, you've probably noticed the degen section that we are actively working to build out. I am very excited for that one. I'm sure if you're in the Solana trenches, that is going to be something that you will be particularly interested in as well. So make sure to keep an eye on the BB Terminal. And obviously, we have a myriad of different ways that you can potentially purchase the BB Terminal, depending on what sort of experience with because Bitcoin and BB that you are looking for, right? You can package it with the Telegram. Or what am I saying? It's already packaged with the Telegram, but you can package it with a Discord membership as well. We really provide all of our insights, a lot of insights privately. I mean, we're on calls with our subscribers for like 3 or 4 hours every single day outside of market checks. So there's really so much value that we add for those people. So make sure to check that out if that's something that interests you, if you're looking to take your trading to the next level. Of course, we also have a few other offerings, right? Such as, because Bitcoin now has an official wealth management fund, we are SEC registered, and we focus on digital assets in a way that looks to capture their asymmetric history for upside returns, as well as balancing out the investment risk posed in any financial market. So if becoming an accredited investor or LP is something that interests you, we do have more information, not just on our website, but also linked in the description below. If you are interested in having maybe me, Max, Jackus, or Tucker potentially manage your money for you, like I said, check out the description below. We will reach back out to you via email and hopefully get back to you as quick as we can. Lastly, guys, we also have the BB Academy. There is don't tell me I just cut out again. Okay.
It's a little choppy. Yeah, it's a little choppy.
Oh no.
Okay, wait.
Don't tell me that.
All right, I think we see Tommy again. You're talking about the BB Academy.
I was in the ether for a second.
Okay, yeah,
I was in the ether for a second. But a reminder, guys, we also have the BB Academy. That is a comprehensive course. We have some free stuff linked as well. But I think the real value comes from the paid course. You're going to always be getting the best possible content when you have to pay for it generally, but you get to learn from the entire BB team, right? How we approach markets, how we trade, how we analyze, how we break down charts. And really, there's just so much value in being able to learn from so many people who trade this market actively every single day. So make sure to check out the BB Academy as well. Continue to get some amazing feedback from you all about the BB Academy. So I'm going to continue to harp on that. After all, feedback from you all is the best possible advertisement for the product, right? But don't forget, I mean, I'm sure if you're a Market Check regular, you don't forget, you already know, you might even have it scheduled on your calendars, but Market Check will return for another episode tomorrow. Typical starting time right around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are live Monday through Friday, as long as the New York Stock Exchange is open. Of course, we also have Market Talk hosted by the legendary King Wabi. He has absolutely crushed this market lately, especially in the trenches, so make sure to tune in for his space as well. The timing can vary from day to day, but we always communicate ahead of time through our Twitter. So make sure, because Bitcoin Twitter, that is. So make sure to stay following and subscribed so you can be notified not just when we schedule those spaces, but also when we go live. But that is it from us. Shout out to Donnie once again, guys. Make sure to give him a follow. His profile is linked in the description below. He absolutely cooked you up a delicious meal today. But that's it from us. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow for another fantastic episode of Market Check on Thursday. But until then, guys, thanks again, as always, and stay safe.